Ari, let us talk Tennessee Vols because they have beaten Alabama for the second straight, not the second straight year, but the second straight time Alabama has come to Knoxville. And Tennessee now feels like they are in a very advantageous position to make the college football playoff. But let us discuss what needs to happen exactly for the Vols to be in the bracket on Selection Sunday.
Yeah, I mean, I think that there's a pretty straightforward line for this team, and I think that it just involves not losing to a team that you shouldn't lose to the rest of the year, and then your only loss being Georgia. Now, Tennessee did lose on the road at Arkansas, and you do have a few tricky-ish games. I don't know. Kentucky's the most bizarre team in college football. Vanderbilt beat Alabama this year, so I guess you can't just say they're all wins. But for the most part, like I look at Tennessee's schedule, and I see an opportunity, and we're automatically assuming that they lose to Georgia in this scenario. They're probably just going to get in. Like there is a small sliver. I think that, they could go on the road and shock Georgia or be in the game in the fourth quarter and potentially win if they're playing very well. I really think that the odds are stacked against the notion that they would miss it.
Yeah, I think they're in a good spot. What they need to do exactly what they're doing on defense. Don't change a thing. Like that defense is spectacular. And like when they lost Keenan Peely, their starting middle linebacker, to injury for the year, you thought, oh no, this is potentially problematic. Is this defense going to still be as good? I don't feel like they lost a step. I thought they were awesome against Alabama. I thought you never felt like Alabama was going to just go down the field and score. It was always going to be a challenge to score. And I feel like they can do that with anybody. I feel like even Georgia's going to feel that way playing this defense. So that part stays the same. Offensively, we've seen two very different Tennessee offenses. The one we saw against Arkansas the entire game, against Florida for all but the very end of the game, and against Alabama for the first half, that offense, if it shows up in one of these other games, is going to lose Tennessee a game. But if we get the second half of Alabama version of that Tennessee offense where Nico Iamaleava looks more comfortable, looks capable of hitting the deep ball. Because remember, he was missing a lot of open receivers. They got a ton of receivers open against Alabama. He only hit 2 of them. But that was all they needed. He doesn't have to hit them all, but he has to hit some of them. And that second half version is the version that can hit those receivers. And Arya, I think watching him run some more was very interesting. And we talked about this last week through the lens of Prize Picks. And if you're not playing Prize Picks, it's America's best daily fantasy game. You download the app, use the code Staples, play $5, get $50 instantly. Well, we talked about how much Nico had to throw for, what square did he have to hit the more than on. So his square for passing in the Alabama game was 199.5 yards. He didn't throw for that many. He threw for 194. He was less than that, and they still won the game. But his passing plus rushing square, 224.5. His passing plus rushing number for the actual game was 238 yards. He threw for 194. He ran for 44. And I thought Nico's legs in the second half made a huge difference. So, download that Prize Picks app. Use the code Staples, play $5, get $50 instantly. If you play between now and Tuesday, there is an essentially free square. Anthony Edwards, Ant-Man, Minnesota Timberwolves against the Lakers on Tuesday night when the NBA season opens. If he scores a point, you win. So by all means, go hit that free square. But I can't wait to see what Nico's squares are the next time we see the Vols play, because I want to, it's that passing plus rushing number that I'm going to be all over, because once he started keeping on the read option every once in a while, I felt like he looked a little more comfortable. And then they started moving the pocket. And that throw down the right sideline when he was on the run to his right, that's the prettiest throw I think he's made as of all.
Yeah, I mean, I think that when you look at this Tennessee team, it's very easy to get bogged down by some of the rough outings we've watched them have the last few weeks. But I think that this schedule actually, gives them an opportunity to try to iron some things out, gain some confidence. The hope is that they have a good close game against Georgia, but they could lose. And then they have UTEP and Vanderbilt the last 2 weeks of the season. They may not make the SEC championship game, but they could be very different and feeling very good about themselves going into the playoff. And I think in this 12-team field, if you have them in the 8, 9, 10, 11 range, like this is a team, you have them at 10, for instance, that I think absolutely could beat Penn State. And who knows what would happen if they got on the same field with Georgia. Like they are a nasty defensive line, great defense in general, a quarterback who's young and getting better. I think that he learned a lot and grew a lot as a quarterback against Alabama in a game that they won. Like you're not going to get that opportunity against Alabama very often. And I think that we're losing sight. Some people are losing sight of the fact that, Alabama stinks. That game didn't mean anything. Like Tennessee didn't play well. Nico was young. He struggled. He got better as the game went on. I think that like playing in that game is going to make him more viable in December when they're playing again. So I think that Tennessee is in a very good position. That was a very important win for this program. And don't take your eye off the ball. This is a team that can still grow and change and be a completely different program by the time the December month rolls around.
The next time we see them will be against Kentucky on November 2nd. Now, Kentucky's still got to play against Auburn between now and then. But one thing very interesting involving, we talked about Tennessee and Nico missing the deep ball and then hitting the deep ball in the second half of the Alabama game. Well, Kentucky gave up 5 passes of more than 40 yards to DJ Lagway in Florida on Saturday night. If you want to practice hitting the deep ball, this might be the defense to do it against. So the next time we see Tennessee, we may see a different version of Nico, one that looks a lot more like that second half Alabama version. And if they can have that version for the rest of the year, I don't even know if we have to worry about whether they're going to make the field. It becomes, can they beat Georgia or not?
Right.
Which I think is a conversation that Tennessee fans would love to have. We'll see if we get there.